Are you living outside time?
Well, I do live outside of time.
You live outside of time, and I live inside of time. How are we to communicate?
Well, we don't, do we? Very well.
Well, we talk a lot.
We talk a lot, yes, but what is the distinction between lots of words and actual? I mean, there's
Well, wait a minute,
conversation.
This
Just hold
is
on
what-
for a sec. There's conversation, then there's communication, and then there's communing. Which do we do?
What's communing?
Communing when is an exchange of things between two people that is outside of time.
So
Outside of
both
language.
people have to live outside time in order.
Or move outside of language and move outside of time. So anyway, I apologize. I just
Well,
wanted to finish
that's
that
what I
thought.
was going to ask you about living inside time. Oh, okay. So if you live outside time and I live inside time, do I just listen to what you're saying without any conversation? You said I'm trying to figure it out from living inside time. So if you're talking, what do I do?
Well, would you, if I answered that question honestly, which I guess I will, if I'm speaking, as you call it, outside of time, which is really a lie, I'm not living out or speaking outside of time. I lied when I said that. I mean, it was true when I said it, but it was a lie after I said it. Then in order for you to be with what it is that I'm saying, you would have to not think or suspend your thinking while I was speaking. Now, look at that just for a second. If you were able to suspend thought for just a space of time that I'm speaking, if you will, if you allow me to use that word, this is why it's so difficult to convey. They just use the word
I can't
time.
suspend.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If you had the possibility of suspending thought while I'm speaking, then where would you be listening from?
The suspension of thought.
Which is what? Another word for that could be what?
Outside of time?
Outside of time, outside of thought, outside of...
Outside. So thought is time.
Thought is time, yes. Thought is
But-
invented by time.
Thought is invented.
Pardon me, the other way around.
Time is invented by thought.
Yes,
So when we're born, we're outside of time.
exactly. And we're beat into submission. We're a beat in a certain sense, we're a
We
beat
learn how to
across.
think.
Yeah, instead of gaining in quantum, we are forced to learn in a straight line, linearly. Linearly. What is that?
Linear.
Linearly.
In a
In a
line.
straight line, anyway. Yeah.
With the left side of the brain.
Now get off that left side, right side. There's only a brain. There's no subconscious brain, unconscious brain, and a left side, right side. Now there is a left side, right side in terms of, if I look at you right here, then that's the left side of your brain and that's the right side of your brain.
So
of
you
course, if I
can't
go around
actually-
behind you, then it's the opposite. That's the right side and that's the left
What
side.
if you look at a picture of a brain that shows the two hemispheres, one's on the left, one's on the right, and the scientists have decided that the left side determines speech and the linear things that you talk about, and the right side is responsible for seeing the wholeness and
Well, I don't know. That's taking the contextual thing and cutting it down and breaking into its smallest part. If I were going to break them down, I'd call it the hemisphere and the hemisphere. The hemisphere, if you happen to be a male, is 51% of your world, and the hemisphere would be 49. But if you happen to be female, then the hemisphere would be 51, and the hemisphere would be 49, or hemisphere would be 51. Quit confusing me with all these facts. So we're talking about outside of time.
right. Well, we're getting there now that we're born
good.
outside of time,
Exactly.
and then our parents
Out of their love for us.
start forcing us into a bottleneck.
Exactly. They make us, they force
Dumb
us
us
into
down.
a limited being, dumbed down, so that we can believe in a God and Jesus and
They start teaching us beliefs,
belief,
yes and no,
right,
and wrong, man and woman, mommy and daddy.
all the insanity of our planet.
They teach us all these words, and those words are invent time.
Yeah, they teach us all of that stuff, and we are the receptors.
Right, as a baby.
As a baby. And at some point, normally around the age of 4, say 3 to 5, there's an explosion that happens in the child, and suddenly they accept it. There's an acceptance. They finally say, oh, okay.
This is what I'm supposed to do.
This is what now I finally know. And this is the danger part. And then they say, now I finally know everything. So at that point, they have created their entire life.
To accept.
To the exact way that they're going to live. Now, when I say that, I don't mean to say that they know that they're going to have an automobile accident at age 21, or that they're going to go to
or have
MIT,
6 children,
or have 6 children,
go to
or have
college.
whatever all that is. But they have created contextual actions that will occur in their lives. They will have already, they won't ask themselves the question, are they going to get married? They'll say, when I get married. They won't ask themselves, shall I have children? They'll say, how many children are we going to have?
Right.
See the distinction?
I hear people say that. How many children do you want to have when you
grow
up?
Yes, yes. How old are you
How
going
about
to be?
0?
Yeah, how old are you going to be when you get married? But that is living inside of time. When you live inside of an expectation, you're living inside of time. Now the real
And that just expands. The older
Then
we
looks-
get, we go to
the more
school, we
the
learn
more
the
you
A,
add
B,
to it.
you know, A is smart, B is,
yes
all of that is within the context of time.
of time, and making you into an ever increasing robot.
And it just puts us in a bubble or a box or a
And
trap.
the box keeps getting somewhat larger because it has to in order for us to make money. So it's a huge failure as a human being that's happening, but it's a huge success as a robot that's happening, because they're gaining knowledge of how to make more money and how to be accepted in a society of robots. And if you don't quite
So we're all robots, is that
exactly
once we accept this
once that
box
4-year acceptance happens,
and we
it's
live
like
inside,
stepping across a chasm. It's actually a quantum leap. It's actually a quantum leap at age 3 to 5, somewhere in there, that the child actually accepts all the nonsense they've been taught. And once that acceptance happens, then the stories can come along. You can create a sky fairy in the sky. You can create a sky fairy.
oh, I
baby
actually saw that happen, and my
and if
granddaughter.
you're a mother that's alive and a parent that's alive while raising your children, you'll see it happen, as what you just said.
Yeah, but she was about 6, 5 or 6, and she was just this innocent, like you say, living outside of time, and then all of a sudden, just like that, she was like the other, the other kids.
And it happens like that too. There's a long graduate building up to it. It's much the same as what I speak of when I say
And it's like
transformation.
shutting the door.
Yeah, it takes, say, 3 to 5 years or 4 years to build up to that place of what you just talked about, to get to that chasm, and then bam! All of a sudden they come across the other side, and then there they are.
It was like a door shut.
Yeah, and all the energy drains that peaceful smile and just the whole demeanor of child
Yes.
disappears.
Yes.
And then there's still flashbacks of it. You can see tiny little bits of it, but for the most part,
It's
there's
gone.
an adult there, and the energy is pretty much gone.